All right, guys, let's take a look at this complete Dr. Ratio guide. We do know that we got him for free starting today, January 17th. I don't know when this video is going to be posted, but starting today, we got him for free. I want to check him out. I want to see what he has to offer. We're going to give this video a like right off the bat. This video was by Gladys. Okay, I'm not subbed to Gladys, but we're here. Let's check it out.
Hello, Gladius here, bringing you the complete Dr. Ratio guide. Dr. Ratio is an imaginary hunt DPS character that specializes in single target damage. He is quite different than the two limited hunt characters that came before him. He brings less complexities and more raw power. In this video, we'll discuss his kit, how to optimize his build with light cones and relics, and formulate a team where Dr. Ratio can fulfill his best role. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
All right, let's do it. The kit and traces.
Dr. Ratio has a simple kit and very easy to understand if we start from his
First and foremost, I want to say the editing is like really nice. Really good.
talent. His talent
And his voice is very like calm and relaxing.
is where all his power lies. A huge single target multiplier that is classified as follow-up attack. His whole kit revolves around triggering this follow-up attack, and there's two main ways to do so. The first way to trigger his talent is that every time Dr. Ratio casts his skill, he has a 40% fixed chance to trigger his.
I didn't know that. I didn't watch this showcase or whatever. That's crazy. So whenever he uses a skill, he has a 40% chance to get that. Is there any way to like increase that?
Attack. Note that it's a fixed chance, not a base chance.
Okay.
Means it will not be affected by enemies' effect resistance, nor can you improve your chances by stacking effect hit rate.
Yep.
What Dr.
That's what I was curious about.
Ratio can do to improve this chance to 100% is to cast a skill on debuffed enemies.
Okay.
For each debuff the enemy has, you have a 20% increased
So anytime there's any kind of debuff and he uses his skill, it's 100% guaranteed.
Chance
Is that
to
what
trigger
they're saying?
The enemy needs to have a minimum of 3 debuffs for Dr. Ratio to guarantee his talent on skill cast.
Got it.
This is also very important as
I see. 40% plus 20% per debuff. So this is the base, and then the 20 is okay. So if there's one debuff, it's 60%. Got it.
his talent follow-up attack.
Obviously, if you have someone like Silverwolf, that's probably the best bet.
Majority of his damage output. Having it miss would be pretty devastating. Dr. Ratio's ultimate is a single target ability that has a low multiplier on cast, but instead it afflicts one enemy with a debuff called Wiseman's Folly.
Okay.
When such a target is attacked by any of his allies, Dr. Ratio's talent will be immediately triggered on the target. Wiseman's Folly can be triggered up to 2 times.
That's pretty cool.
Dr. Ratio's basic attack doesn't do anything special, and it doesn't contribute
What does he do?
triggering his talent
Oh, he just
any way.
slaps you with the book.
When you tally up all of Dr. Ratio's multipliers, this is what you get. 2/3 of his damage comes from the talent follow-up attack, and the
Okay, nice. This is cool. This is really cool. It's nice to see another like follow-up character. I'm a big fan of follow-up damage. I think it's really cool.
rest from his skill and ultimate base multipliers. And because his basic attack doesn't trigger his talent at all,
So obviously with him, you want him on a very skill-efficient team because you're mainly going to be using his skill as much as you can, because you don't want to just slap him with the book. You want to get a skill that can potentially proc the talent.
avoid using it if possible.
Or the follow-up attack, whatever.
But it's taken me a little bit, but I'm starting to get there now. Now I'm feeling like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing.
The
Now
hell
I
is that?
understand how the level.
Looks like a Diablo ripoff.
Real quick, I'll go over trace priority. Dr. Ratio have very important ascension traces. You want to pick them up immediately. They are massive boosts to his stats when attacking debuffed enemies. His other traces are very polarizing. You want to give priority to maxing out his talent as soon as possible, then
Makes
leveling
sense.
all his attack percent and crit rate traces as well.
That makes
Only
sense.
with the leftover trace materials you can put into the skill and ultimate. They have way less impact
Yeah,
comparatively.
don't touch the attack.
You can leave his basic attack at level 1 even, it won't make a difference.
Yeah. 2 relic sets. Okay. Before we go into this, I want to guess what they're going to say. Um, I know the follow-up orb and like the sphere and rope. I would assume that's probably going to be the best. Either that or maybe triple S for the attack, or I mean even the ones with crit. I don't really know. But I'm gonna say I think it's the one that has the follow-up for the sphere and orb. Now as regular clothes, you can probably do a 2-piece set. You can probably do attack and follow up. Like you can do the 10% attack boost, and then you can do the 10% follow up as well. You could also do imaginary, so maybe it's either 4 imaginary or it's 2 imaginary, 2 attack, or 2 imaginary, 2 follow up. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Dr. Ratio have a fairly balanced stat line. He gets decent attack percent, damage boost,
Nice.
crit rate, and crit damage from his own traces.
Ooh, this is what he gets from his traces? This is nice. That's having that crit rate there, so you can not have to worry about getting a crit body. Instead, instead of getting a crit rate body, you know, you'll get a crit damage body, and then you'll try and roll substats for crit
His relic
rate,
main stats and substats
which
will
is
resort to a very
nice.
conventional
So you could probably get them like
and familiar
60-70%.
setup. For chest piece, you want crit rate or crit damage.
Yep.
Aim for an ideal 1:2 ratio in tandem with your Lycone trace
Like
or relic substats.
Yeah.
For boots, you'll be looking for speed boots. For a hunt character, he doesn't have high base speed. He starts at 103 and doesn't get any from the traces.
That's fair.
Even with speed boots, you still want 3 speed substats.
And then
to
for
reach
this, I'm assuming it's either attack or imaginary
that
damage.
ideal 134 for MOC cycles.
This, I don't
Attack
know.
percent
Either
boots
attack
are usable as well. It's not that far
or
behind
maybe
speed
energy.
boots.
No, I don't know if
For
you would do
sphere,
energy here.
imaginary damage bonus will be slightly better than attack percent, but not
Maybe
enough
imaginary
to
and
ignore
attack.
substats.
I would assume
Pick a
attack
sphere
here.
with better substats will be
Maybe
optimal.
energy regen.
For rope, attack percent is the way to go.
Okay.
Energy regeneration is nowhere nearly as good.
Okay. Well,
Dr. Ratio's balanced
that's
stat
fair.
line makes every relic main stat piece feel very impactful and important, and that translates
yeah. I mean, this makes sense.
to
Yeah.
his substats as well. For substats, it's pretty conventional as well. You'll be aiming for as much crit rate and crit damage
Yep.
while having that 134 speed or more. Then from
That
that
makes
point,
sense.
you'll be getting as much attack percent and speed as possible. You do not need to specifically build effect hit rate though, as the only benefit is to
Yeah,
improve
it
his
doesn't make
chance for
sense.
his technique slow and a minor debuff from his traces, both of which isn't a big deal. Now let's talk about relic set bonuses themselves. For planet ornaments, you really only have 4 choices. Given you meet all the activation
Yeah, this
requirements,
is the one that I was saying.
I would say
I forget the names of these all the time, but I was thinking this one and this one. I don't know why this. I mean, I get why it's so low, but I figured this would be the
you
top
can
one.
go with any of the 4. Go with a set with good substats and of course the right main stats. For the outer relic pieces, the best in slot will be the
4-piece
imaginary
Wastelander.
set, followed by the 4-piece quantum set. Now, because Dr.
Okay,
Ratio
that
wants
makes sense.
debuffers
Ignore the
on the team
defense.
to fulfill his maximum potential, it's likely that you can slot in defense shredders like Silverwolf or Pella.
Yep.
Quantum set begins to have a huge upside
And
potential
we all have Pela, so I mean that's
when you
nice.
start stacking defense shred. Dr. Ratio is mainly a follow-up attacker. He's got extra options when it comes to 2-piece combinations. When it comes to set bonuses, you got the 20% follow-up attack damage. You got all the 12% attack options. You have 10% imaginary damage boost, and you have the 6% speed. Getting 4-piece set bonuses can be difficult or
Yeah,
even
it is.
resin inefficient. You
It
can't
can
just
be.
go for a 2-piece combination
Well,
and
I
call
think
it.
what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go for the Wastelander, all 4 pieces, because I still also need to build up my Welt, and I think Welt would also probably be pretty good with him too, because Welt gives some nice debuffs as
for the
well.
day.
Lycons, I have no idea.
Next, we'll
Obviously,
talk about
his
Lycone
is the
options
best,
for
but-
Dr. Ratio. We'll be looking for his best options with 5 stars at S1,
Okay, worrisome. This is the free to play one that you get. Sword play, whichever one probably got unlucky and got this a few times. Yeah, okay, got it.
and 4 stars at S5,
I think I have
and
this.
see how they compare.
I don't know.
Dr. Ratio have a niche of being a
I
follow-up
know I have
attacker.
this. I
so
don't have this at S5, but I know I have it at least. And I'm pretty sure I have this too.
the more conventional hunt Lycones doesn't perform as well as they normally would. Swordplay, it's also hard to stack up, with all of Dr. Ratio's multiplier being single hits, not to mention the hard reset when you have to swap targets. Dr. Ratio would otherwise have very poor free-to-play Lycone options, but the Herta Shop Lycone cruising in the Stellar Sea comes to our rescue. It
100%.
performs so
Nice.
well, being a Lycone you can easily max superimpose over
Yep.
time. It is well ahead of other free-to-play friendly options and only 14% behind his signature Lycone.
not
Topaz's
bad.
signature Lycone is very good on Dr. Ratio.
Oh,
Even
that's
helps him get
Topaz's
one more
signature Lycone.
debuff.
I definitely don't have that.
But perhaps it's smarter to have Topaz use this Lycone and be ran alongside Dr. Ratio for the best results.
That'd be fun.
His signature Lycone Baptism of Pure Thought will be his best in slot, mainly from providing damage boost
Ooh.
and defense shred
Every
on all
debuff
his
and crit
follow-up
oh my
attacks.
god.
Defense shred is very valuable when you start stacking it, and for Dr.
That's crazy. His light cone is absolutely insane.
Ratio, you'll find out his best team setup tend to have defense shreds due
Yep.
to his desire for enemies to be debuffed. Because of how well cruising in the Stellar Sea performs and how easily it can be obtained in the Herta Shop,
What's next?
I
Teams?
highly recommend
Okay.
it over pretty much everything else.
Alright, teams. So I think I want to run Fushuan, Ayla, Ron May, and him. I think that's what I want to do. Or actually, Gwenifin is also a candidate that could be on the team. Instead of Pela, I can run Gwenifin as well.
We on that next level. We up on that next.
Dr. Ratio is actually very straightforward when building him and playing him. But when it comes to team building, we do have to be mindful of a few things. Dr. Ratio operates at the highest efficiency when you can apply 5 debuffs to his attack target. Okay, at bare minimum, he wants 3 debuffs to even function properly. This is not overly difficult as he have 1 debuff himself and up to 2, but you still want to be mindful
So would
and
you
even
run him
aim
with
for that 5 debuff
2
if you can.
debuffers?
Now, a
Like a healer?
conventional hypercarry setup with Dr. Ratio doing all the team's damage has its limits. While it is superb for single target damage, it will feel very sluggish trying to clear multi-target waves,
Yep,
as he doesn't have any AoE damage in his kit.
just like Silver
So
Wolf.
when we're looking for his best supportive teammates, we also have to consider if they can assist him in AoE situations. When we're finding Dr. Ratio's teammates, we have to assess them in 3 factors. First, how well they can put up debuffs on enemies.
Yeah,
Second, how much damage boost they're providing for Dr. Ratio and other allies. And finally, how much AoE or blast damage they can out.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think he'd pair up good with Welt. He'd obviously pair up good with Silver Wolf because she's the person who's going to apply the most debuffs in the game. You have Gwenifin, she can apply really great debuffs. Yeah, I don't know. Do you run 2 debuff units? Like you run Fushuan like a sustain, 2 debuffers? And Ruan Mei?
Output themselves
I don't know.
to help out with wave clears. Firstly, we'll look at his best dual DPS partners that provide nice AoE damage. To no surprise, we have Erudition, Nihility, and Destruction characters.
Yep.
Characters of every path have their unique benefits. Erudition will be flat out the best AoE damage dealer, while Nihility characters support him with extra debuffs and moderate AoE
Oh
damage.
yeah, I forgot about
And Destruction characters have the
Kafka.
strongest 3 target damage, also being the most skill point friendly.
Yep.
I especially like Welt here. Not only does he provide 2 extra debuffs, he also imprisons enemy, making your
Yep.
imaginary
That's what I'm
set bonus
saying,
all
man.
the more
Yeah, I think
consistent.
he'd be great.
And the cherry on top is that he actually do okay AoE damage as well.
Yep. You
And in
build your
case you
crit
didn't
well.
know, imprisonment from different sources do count as separate debuffs and can be stacked.
Ooh,
This
that's
includes
nice.
imaginary break imprisonment as well.
That's really nice.
Now, if we look at support characters for Dr. Ratio, we mainly have to look at their debuff
Yeah,
potential
Silverwolf,
and how
Payload,
much damage
Gwenifin,
boost they can provide Dr. Ratio and his
Topaz,
potential
yeah.
DPS partner. Every support have their unique strength, and there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to Dr. Ratio teams. Silverwolf is the best debuffer,
Oh yeah,
Runmei is the best team damage buffer, and Topaz is the strongest single target dealer and damage booster, while Gwenifin is a nice balance of everything.
yep, I love her,
When
and I
you
think
put
she
the two
would
and two
be
together,
great
you
on
can
the
get
team.
everything Dr. Ratio wants to perform optimally in a team setting.
Yep.
It's impossible to list all the possible team builds, but a few examples of team structures are the hyper carry setup with Dr. Ratio doing all the damage. Then we have the dual DPS setup, which is less
Take a look at this, okay? Dr. Ratio, Runmei, Gwenifin, Fushuan. I mean, this is what I said, right? My sustainer was going to be Fushuan. I said Pela and her and him. That's what I said, and that's cool. I'm glad that is on here. And then yeah, this makes sense too, having Fushuan with the Runmei, and then having Welt. This is a nice. I think this is a nice combo right here. These two. I think that's a really, really nice combo. Yeah.
impressive on paper, but is
Man,
very
let me
versatile.
actually stop
hopping
for a second and let me sub to this guy. The editing
into
and
different
everything on this video is absolutely amazing.
content. And finally, my favorite, a highly consistent mono imaginary team enabled by Silverwolf. This
Yep.
is a team where you can queue up into any content blindfolded,
Oh, this is crazy. I actually don't have Luocha. I was one of the crazy people who didn't summon for him. Now, my reasoning, I didn't do it because I didn't like the character. I just didn't know about the character. And when I was playing, I wasn't playing the game in a very serious way like I am now. I wasn't like too far in the game. I think I was just only at the place where you can get your XP books. And I was just farming those over and over like every single day. So when his banner came out, yeah, I saw him and he was there and I grabbed the tickets and whatever, but I just didn't, I don't even think I've summoned on his banner at all. But I wish I did.
mimicking the consistency of mono quantum team.
But this is cool. Eidolons. We're not
Let's
getting
talk
any of his
about
Eidolons, but we'll still
Eidolons
watch
doesn't
them.
really change how Dr. Ratio play or make up for the lack of AoE damage. But accumulatively through Eidolon 1 and 6, he gets crazy improvement for his single target
Oh my
damage,
goodness.
something he already does really well. Dr. Ratio has 3 really good Eidolons that work on top of each other, that being 2, the 4, and the 6. Through the power of exponential growth, accumulatively, Dr. Ratio have the biggest margin of increase
He's
from
like,
1 to 6. That being said though, at the end, he is just a single target damage dealer. I
Yep.
feel like going for Eidolons is really overkill for the
Yep.
current state of the endgame.
Yeah, I
which-
mean, the way that everything is set up, you need like AoE characters. It's like the only way to function. Yeah, you will have your single target bosses every now and then, but like most of what you fight in this game are all going to be like AoE people. So I'm not going to like heavily invest in him. I'm not going to try and get any Eidolons. I'm not trying to get this light cone. I will have fun with him because I think he will pair up very well with Welt, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like get any Eidolons.
doesn't necessitate all that much single target damage, or difficult for that matter. In summary, I do think Dr. Ratio is a very strong single target hunt character that we can get for free in patch 1.6.
Because I mean, look at Silverwolf, right? Amazing character, right? I'm not even gonna say that she's not meta, whatever. She's a very, very, very amazing character. But what holds her back is her single target damaging. You know, if she could do a AoE quantum weakness debuff thingy, she would absolutely be the best character in the game and it would not even be close. But you know, obviously to balance her out, making her a single target damaging character just makes the most sense, because if she was AoE and she could do what she can do on AoE, it wouldn't even be fair. Everyone would have her, everyone would beat all the content very easy. The game would not be hard at all.
I do think he's worth your investment. You'll have a strong imaginary DPS at your disposal to tackle tanky enemies in the endgame. Alright, that concludes my complete guide for Dr. Ratio. Stay tuned for my next guide by
Man,
subscribing.
what a W.
My name is Gladius. Thank you for watching.
If you guys have not subbed to Gladius, let's do that, man. That's huge. What a wonderful video. I thank you so much.
Until
I really
next time.
appreciate it. Really great guy. I'm excited. I'm excited to get him. I'm glad we get him for free. W's in the chat for Starrel. Sorry, Genshin players. Yeah, that's it.